In Tim Burton's films and artworks, the idea of stitching or being stitched together is a recurring motif and evokes feelings of fragmentation, dismemberment, decapitation, but also of repair and survival. In films such as Frankenweenie, Edward Scissorhands, Sleepy Hollow, Mars Attacks, Corpse Bride, and of course, The Nightmare Before Christmas, the characters are often makeshift, cobbled together constructions that represent feelings of psychological fragmentation, of being pieced together and coming apart at the seams. In The Nightmare Before Christmas, Sally's loosely stitched together body explicitly highlights this theme. This character's struggle to escape from the ties that bind her to her creator Dr. Finkelstein involves unstitching and dismembering herself. She finds herself reluctantly stitching Jack into the Santa suit that represents his mistaken denial of his true identity as the Pumpkin King. The continuing recurrence of images of fragmentation and temporary connection in Burton's work is one of the key ways that he represents the destructive effects of social conformity. Burton's characters are forced to make their way in an alienating and unsympathetic world, and they bear the results of their social disconnection on their bodies. Stitched up, pierced and composite bodies, severed heads, mechanical bits, runaway eyeballs, renegade limbs and dancing skeletons fill Burton's films with a monstrous energy that affirms different ways of being in and part of the world. However, there is also an optimism associated with this stitching motif, representing the ongoing ability to put yourself back together. Although inscribed by social dysfunction and psychological disintegration, the bodies of Burton's characters are funny, poignant, and captivatingly bizarre. The physical strangeness and grotesque appearance of Burton's misunderstood and sinister characters highlight their humanity. Jack Skellington's long-limbed and freakish emaciation gives him both vulnerability and soulfulness. The temporary, pieced-together quality of Sally's body contrasts with her dream for a better life. In Edward Scissorhands, Edward's freakish bondage gear and Scissorhands belie a childlike innocence and gentleness. A video clip will now play. Please look at your screen.
Well, I have no piercings myself, but stitching was always a very symbolic thing for me, of feeling very much kind of schizophrenic or compartmentalized or falling apart or not together. Like fairy tales or folk tales, I always found these images to be symbolic and meaningful, and not just because, I'm a frustrated seamstress or something.